Hello and welcome to Murphy's Garden. This is just a very short little video, just a kind of update video on some of the jobs that we did earlier in the year. One of them was cutting the phormiums right back. I wasn't sure, I'd never done that before, so I wasn't really sure at the time whether it would be successful or not. We saw some footage on John Lord's YouTube channel, and he recommended cutting them right to the base. So that's what we've done. So I just want to have a look at how they're doing a few months on. So that's one thing. And then also the other job was the roses that we changed in the parterre. They're now all in bloom, so I want to just share that with you and whether or not that's been successful. So just a few little updates. We'll just go around as well while we're looking at the garden to some of the flowers that are looking particularly good at this time of year. And this is June, so middle of June. So we'll just go and have a little look. So I'm just in the sunken garden, and this is the area that we finished, we did the last video of the bleached lime tree. So you can see the lime trees behind are just looking good, and the leaves are recovering after being slightly mishandled, but they're all recovering. It's looking lovely. And the area, the soil, there's a vast amount of soil here. So this area I've just been busy infilling with some of the plants that we grew from seed. So the Cosmos Purity, the white Cosmos, which I've staked really well, and the Nicotiana as well. So the whole area should be a mass of white bloom. So I'm hoping that that will look nice. So here you can see the Nicotiana and Cosmos have just infilled this whole entire area. I did have some Japanese anemone, so a lot of them were self-seeding at the front of the border, which I didn't really want, so I've moved that to the back. And I just wanted to update you on the Phormiums. So anyone that's thinking about cutting Phormiums back, you do that in the spring, so it's too late to do that now, I think. But we did this. I'll post the date when we actually did it, but you can see how well it's recovered. So you can see some of the leaves have got this kind of blunt cut where we cut, but the new ones are coming through and they've got the nice pointy leaves. So I think when it fills in, when all the new ones come through, you won't notice the blunt ones, but it looks really, really good for it. So I'll show you the other ones as well. And this is the biggest of all the Phormiums. This was a whopper, really, really big, and had got very, very ugly. So we did the same with this, levelling it to the ground with the chainsaw. And this has responded incredibly well. We've got masses and masses of new growth here coming right from the centre, so lots of lovely pointy leaves, and I think that will come back really, really strong. And we've also got one more over here. So this is the yellow wave one, and again, good growth, lovely new growth. This is the viburnum that I pointed out in the last video that seemed to suddenly die quite quickly, quite dramatically. We took some footage of it back in April when we were doing cutting back this Phormium, and by May it suddenly turned very yellow, and the leaves, lots of the leaves went yellow, and I really thought it was dead. It's called Viburnum X globosum, Germine's globe. It's a lovely viburnum with these very sort of leathery green leaves and white flowers. Unfortunately, as I say, it seemed to sort of look quite dead, and we found out that the cause of that was we had a mole in this part of the garden, and it was tunnelling underneath this viburnum and just making the ground unstable beneath it. So I thought it was dead, but actually I fed it, and when I looked there were some green leaves. There's quite a lot of green leaves still on it, so I've cut it hard back, and I've fed it really well. I've put some of the garden compost around the base and given it a good seaweed feed, and hopefully we'll just have to watch to see whether it recovers, but it's still got a good shape. If it does recover, then it should so hopefully be okay. And as we head back into the woodland garden, this is a lovely little stachys which I just want to point out, also called lamb's ear. It's got these lovely very soft furry, a bit like Murphy's ears, and this pink flower which has just opened in the last few days. So, and then the other shrub which is also quite a picture at the moment, is this brachyglottis. So it's a silver leaved shrub. It was actually in the front garden, and it just didn't really do a lot in that part of the garden. Never really noticed it much before. It was kind of tucked at the back, so we dug it up and we've moved it here, and so it's really nice, and I particularly like it with the saxifraga. This froth of pink I think looks quite nice with the silver of the leaves, and as a bonus it's nice to see it's got these lovely little bright yellow flowers on it, which actually look quite good, and just by coincidence are next to the Doronicum, which continues to carry on flowering. It's been flowering for a couple of months now. And we'll just head round here. Now, these are the little silver birch trees that we planted earlier in the year, and you can see that they're looking really well, and I'm pleased that they've settled into the garden well. This is another phormium. This was a much smaller one. So this area, there's quite a lot of space in this area, so I've just put a hydrangea in there and a pittosporum, probably a bit too close really, if I'm honest, but anyway, we'll see how they do. We've also got some grasses just to grow up around the base of the silver birch, and just some ground cover as well. Here we've got some hypericum and this lovely fern, and this cicerincum, which seems to have self-seeded. And this is a bit of a problem area. This is a sycamore tree that we had here and we took down. It's starting to regrow again, and I don't want it here. I really don't want it here. So that will need to be, we need to do something to get rid of that. Don't want it. So yeah, that's got to go. And then just more hypericum. This little seat has got these little planters either side, and they seem to be quite blocked. I couldn't figure out why they were blocked, and I sort of unblocked them, but they still didn't drain very well. So I thought, oh well, make the most of it, and I've just put some hostas in there, so they seem to quite like it there, and that soil is definitely, it's not really draining very well, so they're quite happy. So all in all, I'm quite pleased with the changes that we've made to the woodland garden. I like the new trees that we've planted, so the multi-stem ones are doing really well, and the whole area really is just sort of coming together and looking a bit more mature and a bit more sort of full. This is the other phormium that we did, and that's got good regrowth on it. This is a lovely Fatsia japonica, and I love the white of the leaves. There was a bit of a gap at the back. Well, actually there wasn't a gap, there was a big stinking hellebore at the back, which I really didn't like. So I've taken that out, and I'm not really a great fan of mahonias, but we had this mahonia and I didn't like where it was, so I thought it might look good here. It's a bit sickly looking, but I've moved it, and I thought if it does recover and it flowers, the yellow flowers, the contrast in the leaf form, the spiky leaf, might look quite nice in this area, particularly against the grey fence and the Philadelphus, and just some of the other planting around it. And here we've got this little acer. Acers really don't do very well in this garden. I think we've got such high winds and just really struggle, but this one seems to be doing okay in the pot. So I've just placed it next to this fern. This fern's got the most gorgeous leaves with the purple tinge to the leaf. So I just thought next to the acer, I thought that looked really, really nice. The big silver birch tree, one of them, as I've mentioned in the previous video, was just starting to get a bit of root rot. So unfortunately, we've had to reinstate the supports on this one. And then the other little change that we made, we've got these little solar powered light bulbs, and we only got 3 of them just to see what they look like, but we've put them in the trees, and at night it looked really really lovely, really quite sweet, and actually surprisingly very bright. So that's quite nice too. Now I'm really excited to show you the parterre, because I just love it. Right decision. It's a lot of work, but I'm really glad we did it. So we've changed over the roses, and these are the Desdemona roses in their full splendour and glory, and they just look beautiful. Obviously they're not filling the whole areas because this is their first year, but I just love them, absolutely love them. So this is the Desdemona, and just look at that, isn't that gorgeous? So we've got this, it opens a very pure white, but it starts off kind of a slightly blush pink just when it first opens, and the buds have got these lovely pink tinges to them. But the leaves, the foliage is lovely, really good, no disease or anything on them, and I think they look fantastic. I really like them, and even my little cuttings are doing quite well. That's one, and this is another one. It's got 2 big roses on it, and another one that's really quite big at the back there. So and it's interesting to see that these are the ones that we planted bare root. So just to compare, so these are all bare root, the big ones that you see, and this was the original one that was pot grown. So you can just see the label there. So that's the pot grown one that we bought at the David Austin Rose Garden when we visited. So there's absolutely no advantage to buying pot grown ones. It's lovely, but it's not any better or any more lovely than the other ones that were planted bare root. It's just as big. So save yourself money and buy bare root, definitely. Obviously, if you're buying someone a present, it's nice to buy them a pot growing rose that they can see what it looks like. But if you're buying them for yourself, I would just advocate buying just bare root. And following on from the roses, the Desdemona roses that we're really pleased with in the parterre. These are the ballerina roses that we moved out of the parterre, and they just didn't work in that area. They didn't kind of look formal enough, and I didn't dislike them. I really like them. I think they're lovely, and they've got these clusters, large clusters of roses, and these are single roses, and they're fantastic for the bees. The bees love them. So we've moved them into the perennial borders, and I think they're much better suited to that look. In this context, in a perennial border, they just look magnificent. They look really good from a distance. Actually, they look a bit like it looks a bit like a hydrangea, but on close inspection, it's just stunning. There's so many flowers on it, and the bees just love it. And it's got this white petals with pink tinges, and it's a mass, absolute mass. I think there are 3 plants that we put in, 3 on each side, and then in the background you can just make out this lovely plant. This is called Cephalaria gigantea, and it's this kind of like a limey, quite zesty colour. Looks absolutely stunning. It is staked quite well. It doesn't always stand up well if there's wind, so I do stake it. And then we've also got in the foreground, we've got the Persicaria, lots of the little seedlings and things that we put in. So we're waiting for those to come out. Here we've got some salvia. I think this is Salvia nemorosa. We've got the heliocryzomes. That's the one that we planted those from seed. Look how big they've got. Some penstemon that I did the Chelsea chop on. This is the monkshood. We've got lots of monkshood in this border. And this is lovely. It comes out, it's lovely deep purple. And the other plant which I really like is this, looks a bit like Verbena bonariensis, but in a very pale pink. It's actually called Valerium. So gardening is all about making changes, evaluating things, trying harder and harder to make things better and better. So I hope you will agree that the changes that we've made have been an improvement. And we've just got some forecasted rain has finally come. We've been expecting it. Garden's been quite dry. We've had lots of winds which have dried everything up. So the rain has come, and a brilliant time to make changes is when it's wet, because you can move plants around, do things that you can't do when it's very dry. So I've got my wet weather gear on, and I'm going to make a few more changes to the borders. But thank you very much for watching, and join us again in the next video. Bye for now.